In this tutorial, we'll be going over how to use the Units tab in CostLab. As you can see here, I've opened up the unit mix, and we have preloaded 4 types of units. This is a dormitory, so we have an RA's suite, a single bed, a suite with 2 single bedrooms, and a suite with 4 single bedrooms. The unit mix allows us to list out the average area of one of those units. So the RA suite has an average area 593, single unit 396, and so on. It allows us to specify how many beds, how many bathrooms, how many half baths, and it allows us to plug in the quantity of those types of units on each floor where they appear. At the bottom of the page, you'll see that it's totaled our unit count, given us the net area of every single one of these rooms, and told us the total amount of bedrooms in each. If you'd like to add a new unit, you can always do so by going up to the top left of the unit mix, hitting the plus sign, and selecting a unit type from any of these preloaded options. Now, as an example, I'm going to add a 3-bed suite to our dormitory. I'm going to hit the blue checkbox, and we'll notice that it's been added here. We have a preloaded area because the preloaded options have made things easy on us. And all we now need to do is tell the system how many times it appears on each floor. For illustrative purposes, let's just add 1 to each floor and drag it down. So now we know that we have 1 3-bedroom suite on every single floor. If you'd prefer to use one of these unit types that we have loaded in already as a template, you can always go to this symbol right here and click to duplicate. Be sure that you're adding it to the correct use group and hit duplicate. You'll see that we now have a copy of that dorm type and labeled it with a small 2 in parentheses so that we know that this is a copy. You'll notice that everything has stayed the same in terms of its geometry, but we now need to plug in the total quantity on every floor. The next step in using the Units tab is by understanding how to use the quantity takeoff section. Each one of these rooms has their own set of finishes. When we go to quantity takeoff, you'll notice that we can use quantity formulas in much the same way that we would in the line items tab, or the reports tab, or the finish tab, or any of the other areas in CostLab where quantity formulas are useful. You can also add new line items by going up to the top left of your screen and selecting here. And you can copy any of these line items as well by hitting duplicate from the drop-down menu. Another useful tip is understanding the different ways that you can calculate interior partitions. You'll see over here that we have a handful of wall types. We have standard partitions, we have chase walls, shaft walls. The reason why these wall types live inside quantity takeoff is because there is a specified amount of standard partition, chase wall, and shaft wall in each of these units that is typical to that specific unit type. If we were to change the geometry of the building at all, or go through design iterations, but keep the same standardized shape of each unit, it's advantageous for us to track that quantity of wall within the quantity takeoff, so that no matter how many units we decide to include in our estimate, the quantity of interior walls will always be captured. Another location where you can track the total amount of walls is under the Common Walls tab. This is a really useful section of the page because it allows us to track all of the walls for the entire building in one place. This is particularly useful when we think about walls that are shared between two rooms. Rather than counting those walls within our quantity takeoff on a unit by unit basis, or in our finish tab on a room by room basis, this allows us to avoid double counting walls that are shared by two rooms or two units, and automatically calculates the square footage based on a takeoff of lineal feet multiplied by the height of that floor. You can always add a new wall type by going to the top left of common walls and hitting the plus sign. And those are the different ways that you can account for walls in your estimate. Another useful feature for the Units tab is the area check. The area check allows us to view the net area and the efficiency of a given floor, which is particularly helpful when communicating to a client how well used the space is per floor. At this point, we've gone over most everything for the basic functionality of the Units tab. There are a few other tips and tricks that a more advanced user might find useful, but there'll be future videos for those. Thanks for watching.